Well, let's get more now on the news that the terror threat level in this country has been raised to severe last night. We can get more on that with the Justice Minister, Alex Davies-Jones, who's here with me now. Very good morning to you. Thanks so much
good morning.
For chatting to us this morning. So the UK's terror threat raised then to severe from substantial, meaning that a terror attack is highly likely. This is going to be very worrying for members of the public. So how should people respond?
So the message this morning is that the public should be alert but not alarmed. This is an operational decision to ensure that all of the community is kept safe across the United Kingdom. The government's first priority is to its citizens to keep us all safe, and this is to ensure that the police have the resources and tools available in order to do just that.
So, but what exactly should they do? Should they be changing their behaviour? You said they should be alert. What should they be looking out for?
So it's about being aware of any suspicious activity, being mindful of certain types of behaviour, and reporting any suspicious behaviour to the police. Ultimately, that is what we are encouraging the public to do.
And was the threat level raised because of any specific intelligence about a specific attack?
So obviously the attack in Golders Green earlier this week was utterly horrific, and that has fed into the decision to raise the threat level, but it was also raised because of other intelligence regarding hostile actors who seek to cause us harm in the country, and that is why the decision was made independently to raise the threat level in order to keep us all safe. But as I've said, this is an operational decision for the security services in order to keep us all safe.
And you talk about the threats to just the Jewish community, or are there other factors at play here as well?
This is a threat to all of us, and an attack on the Jewish community is an attack on all of us. It's an attack on Britain, it's an attack on our values, our way of life, and I would just want to state that this is for everyone across the country to be aware of, that there are those out there who seek to cause us harm, who seek to damage our way of life, and that this is for the police and security services to keep us safe.
The Prime Minister visited Golders Green yesterday, the scene of the stabbings, and was met with heckling. One of the phrases shouted at him was "Keir Starmer, Jew harmer." One of the victims of the attack says he feels let down, says the government hasn't been doing its job properly of making people feel safe. Do you understand that strength of feeling that people don't feel safe?
I do. I do understand that strength of feeling, and I have all of the sympathies for a community that is reeling in fear, in grief, in trauma. I was at Heaton Park in Manchester after the attack there, and again we were met with very similar anger and grief. And the community are tired. They have told me directly that enough words. We need action now. The time for thoughts and prayers is over. And this doesn't just need a response, this needs a fundamental solution. And I want to reiterate to the Jewish community that the government is listening, and we are taking that action across society to root out anti-Semitism, because it has no place in our country.
Well, yes, and the Prime Minister talked about lots of steps he wants to take. So essentially, is that an admission that you haven't done enough to tackle anti-Semitism in this country?
I think, yes, it is. We all need to do more to tackle anti-Semitism, given the rising levels that it is occurring here. It's totally unacceptable. And we all have a duty, on all of us, to look at what we're doing, what we're saying, how we're behaving, in terms of how this is making certain communities and individuals feel in our country.
So we saw the Prime Minister there in a Jewish community yesterday. Should it be more visible before an attack?
I think the Prime Minister has been visible. He's been trying to reassure the community that we are taking that action that we need to. He has been very forthright on refusing to take us into a war that is not of our making in Iran. We have been a leading voice on the situation in the Middle East to resolve conflict there and to try to diffuse tensions that are arising in communities as a result of that. But what I would say is that we're not resting on our laurels here. It is important that we do take that action, whether that is in our healthcare, whether that is in education, whether that is across society, whether that's online, in order to ensure that anti-Semitism is rooted out from our country.
The independent reviewer of terrorism, Jonathan Hall, has been talking about the role that pro-Palestine marches could potentially be playing in feeding anti-Semitism. He's called for a moratorium, a temporary ban on them. What do you make of that?
I would say that the right to protest is a fundamental one in our country, and it is one that I am proud that we have, and one that I will fiercely defend and protect. But ultimately, we have seen these marches be hijacked by certain individuals who are seeking to cause and sow division and hatred in our country. And I would say to anyone that is seeking to march at the moment to please reflect on what is happening in our country, how certain communities and individuals are feeling. And as I've said, it is the responsibility of all of us to ensure that we do better, that we are good citizens, and that we seek to prevent any cause of hatred, alarm, distress or intimidation at this time or whenever.
But you're not looking to ban the marches?
We will take action if we need to, and the Home Secretary did ban a march just last month to prevent that dangerous alarm, intimidation and threat that I've talked about. So the government will take action where necessary, whilst also ensuring that we do protect people's rights to freedom of protest, to ensure that they are reflecting the views of certain individuals in our country. I think that is important that we protect that too.
The Prime Minister has said he's looking at what more could be done around marches. He'd mentioned chants, banners, the repeated nature of protests. So what exactly is being considered?
So just this week, the Crime and Policing Act has become law, which has meant that we now have the power to prevent marches that are being repeated constantly in certain areas and certain communities that are causing alarm and distress, whether that be outside schools, churches, synagogues, for example. So we do have those new powers. We are ensuring that we bring forward legislation at pace to prescribe the IRGC, for example. We've taken action on chanting. Calls for death in the street are unacceptable, whoever they are, and the police are and will be taking action where that is occurring. And it is a duty on all of us, as I've said, to check our behaviour, and we have a responsibility to keep everyone safe.
I mean, it's a really tricky problem, isn't it? I mean, how do you tackle something that's become a social problem? How do you tackle people's beliefs, as they now are amongst some people? How do you do that? And will people listen to a government?
So we root it out by its source. It's about ensuring that we take every action available to us via training, via working in education, via healthcare. There are a number of important reviews taking place at the moment across government, led by very experienced peers. For example, Lord John Mann, the government's independent advisor on anti-Semitism, is doing a review into the NHS to ensure that our doctors and our healthcare professionals are not being blinded by anti-Semitism or racism of any kind, that our education systems, whether that be universities or schools, are not becoming breeding grounds for hatred, and are rather, it's important that they have that free debate to look at different ideas and positions, but that they are not being pushed content online via really dangerous algorithms that is inciting racial hatred in our country.
Reviews are one thing, but they're looking into the future. The results won't come for a while. So what do you say to parents this morning who are nervous about putting their children in the uniform for a Jewish school and worrying about their safety?
I would say I totally understand the fear there. As a mother myself, I cannot imagine how that feels. And it's important that we have a duty to keep everyone safe, and we need to reassure and do more. And that is why the government is determined to not rest on our laurels here, to take the action that we need to, including fast-tracking legislation if necessary, working with our criminal agency partners to ensure that justice is brought swiftly for anyone carrying out this behaviour and these attacks, and that we do all we can to root out anti-Semitism from the country.
OK, well, Alex Davies-Jones, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you.